Welcome back to my lovely IHP community and the 5D Collective. As we were chit-chatting about in a couple of episodes for today, we have love, peace, and joy. Those of us who are lovers, there's the divine feminine and divine masculine, or empowered feminine, empowered masculine. The left is the masculine, the right is the feminine, and then counterparts also are involved. So if you want, you tune in to our lovely episode. What gives peace and joy is integration of the brain and anchored in ventral energy, number one. And if you want the love, peace, and joy of divine feminine and divine masculine counterparts. And then last night we had a late HP show. We might have one tonight, but I don't know yet. And the one from last night, a spiritual self-agent has inner peace with fear and love. So when you're a securely attached, non-traumatized person, here's why strength is also with the hermit. And this is that lovely in-between deck. So when you have the strength card, which is actually 8, although there are some decks that have confused it or for some reason switched up the justice, which is 11, and the strength, which is 8, FYI, if you're a reader of your own. The part about the 5D collective is we're not like, oh my God, they did it wrong. They did something and now it's probably going to make something else, and that's why Anima Mundi. It all comes in together, and when you're an empowered feminine as a channeler, downloader, again, it's very much the energetic imprint. So I'll perceive that which is energetic imprint as a perfume, which is why today's messages involved cards that were not the ones I'm showing you now. These might accompany our next days. But lovers together have intimacy since we bring an honest sense of connection and not false self. So we're not afraid about rejection. We're not afraid of losing ourselves. We're not afraid of not being enough. We are not going to perform, okay? We're also not going to chase, and we're not going to run. And we don't treat love as a tug of war or as anything that is going to be hard. Love and life are not hard. So that quote I shared with you, which is really inspiring, but from a ventral vagal state, the one of the life, it ain't no rainbows and sunshines from Sylvester Stallone, just the same way with the whole life, this very existence is suffering. It's not suffering. For one, as a Christian Catholic, Jesus suffered for my sins. He bore the cross. So I was taught about all this weight, and I'm not here to carry it. And like when I mentioned the Dalai Lama in one of the episodes, a man going up to him and saying, how dare you smile in the face of suffering. You obviously didn't look into who the Dalai Lama is, and you're bringing in your projection. You obviously are an emotionally immature human being who doesn't know how to use strength, like the Zen master with laundry. Emotionally immature people don't know how to harness their ventral energy because they don't know how to use their prefrontal, and they think it's one emotion. It's not. So I bring intimacy because intimacy is a honest sense of connection, which is I'm not performing and I'm not afraid to lose you, because like when this teenage boyfriend broke up and people were like, you let him get away, I said, who, my dog? I didn't have him on a leash. I didn't lose anything. And like when I have had people in my life, because we're all different, basically not want to engage, I don't lose friends. I don't lose lovers, if you will. You don't lose. You're not in my pocket. You see what I'm saying? It's not just a figure of speech to me. I'm very literal, though. I'll say that. I'm a child who's a grown-up who will still pick up what you're saying and ask questions. I don't understand jokes. So when people actually figure it out, there's 2 ways this goes down. They have fun with it. I have fun with it too. And then some will, with their, because Cusco's, they're bountiful. They can get into thinking that they're doing something, but really it's the physiological state. I'm going to put that aside. So I want this episode to be focused on the lovers who have intimacy, and that means we bring the best out of one another. We know what death do part, sickness and in health, richer and poorer, okay, all of it, like not in a way of being afraid of hiding oneself. So with teenage boyfriend, I wasn't hiding, and I didn't ever hide. I don't hide, Maria. So a person who hides themselves has a very big deal going on inside when they're entering a relationship, and that creates a dynamic that I don't know. I have not ever experienced. Let me say I do have interest in you as a lover and feel weighed down by the person. That's not it. I can be worried. I can be upset, really. I'm a grown up. I mean, yeah. That's the part of where you can't really upset an empowered feminine, because we know how to handle when we're getting in our little angry butthole, Kali, and then we bring in Shiva. And Shiva is I'm nothingness, meaning it's not a big deal, meaningful, meaningless. And then I bring in Krishna Lila. I'm bringing in my prefrontal cortex because I'm processing the sensations, images, and the behaviors and the affects and meanings, and I'm not creating a story. That's why I don't need Terrio. And I'm not afraid of saying anything, but I'm also not afraid of contemplating something that is from my personality pattern, with my temperament, with my own Maria's 0 to 16-year-old, my child parts, which is why I don't need a pat on the back for having done sadness with emotional maturity. And I laugh because the flow state is really awesome. Not many people know. I don't damn it, yeah, I don't want mindfulness mindset, or they make it sound really fancy to do it. So I'm a mystic mentor, content creator, podcast host. I don't make it sound fancy to do what is your health, your well-being, your intelligence, and your actual capacity to walk a walk and talk a talk with integrity. Functional inner child adults, 5D mystics, spiritual self-agents, mindful self-agents don't need pats on the back to do anger well, sadness well, fear well, good body. Good nervous system. That's the best that I can actually do what I consider ridiculous, because I don't talk to my child parts like that. And now that I know that this activates my ventral vagal state, if I want a good cry, I'll do that. And no, I'm not depressed. I actually know what depression can look like and what it can feel like. And when others want to tell people what they are experiencing, they obviously, again, are chiming in from their own subjective experience. So when you have lovers who are intimate, again, there's no struggle or tug of war, but that's because it's on both sides. Okay, so if you have people who they reserve space and they hide themselves, we're all embodied brains, okay? And hiding is meaning that you're not gonna process it with yourself and then share it. Okay, so hiding, it's subconscious and conscious, which is why we don't have a false self. Lovers have a real self. So you don't need Patrick Tian to learn to love yourself first. Let me make that clear. Securely attached, non-traumatized people are 5D collective. That doesn't mean we're perfect. It means that our child parts don't take over. It means that when we do have trauma time, like with my mother, my 3-year-old, we can take ownership and say we're sorry, and then we're still working on it. So we get to have Sid, Manny, Diego like grown-ups. And you know what's nice is that the grown-ups don't bring in what are cheap shots. So when I meet anyone at this point in my lovely 45 years of age, it doesn't matter what context. As soon as Cusco's in the room, I'm not playing Cusco's game, because whatever my 14-month-old butthole wants to bring up, I'm already processing it as it comes up, because I was taught good manners. If you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. I was taught that those who look in a certain way, shame on them, not on you. I was taught, thank you God, Jesus, and Holy Spirit, how to forgive, turn the other cheek, and that all my brothers and sisters are in fact of love. Even the fallen ones can get back up. I am taught by neuroscience. I know all about no demon, no Lucifer, and even before that I knew it. And I said, hey God, I don't see Lucifer, I see cowards. So when I'm in the presence of a coward, I learned how to handle teenagers so that I could leave from the limited consciousness, immature, very close-minded, not frequency of anything except for, I don't know why you're making this big of a deal, but I just want to go have fun. Girls just want to have fun, yes, with actual people. So when you meet fake people all the time, you just get used to it. That's why adoptive child part, it's not a losing strategy. I got a fun time with Cusco, because when I'm even remotely semi-irritated because their nervous system, there's shit going on in there, their attachment wounds flare up, they don't know how to handle. I'm not irritated because it's not mine necessarily, but as Dr. Daniel Siegel taught me when I asked him, without having to mention I'm a mystic, because the therapists, the good ones, are somatic empaths, and they know how to anchor in their ventral energy. As Deb Dana points out, I know all about my prefrontal, and so I know how to recalibrate Maria as I'm interacting with you, and then to remember to differentiate, and that I'm a guitar string and so are you. And that differentiation is my physical mastery as I'm in the room with a bunch of people who don't want to do mindfulness, mind, side, or mindset, yet they think the strength card means they're suffering to death, and that the hermit means you're all locked up and that you scan a room and don't go anywhere. No, panic attacks. Got plenty of them, and I learned to work with them, and that's where Dr. Daniel Siegel, thank you again. So he said, I think you need to differentiate a little bit more, Maria. You're differentiating is where you want to go. Or you're not differentiating enough. So that's very easy for me to understand, because my course material is very easy, because I can hear those who explain well that which they teach and not what they preach. No, they teach. The love, peace, and joy of a divine feminine is that my divine masculine is mine, number one. My counterpart, I don't talk shit to Maria and I don't talk shit to you, because God, I promised God as a child that I would forgive and love. And so yes, as a kid, I'm sure I had a very nice smile. Good job, Maria, as I get teased by people today when I'm a grown-up, but today I'm a grown-up. I don't smile in that little way, but you know what I also know is that our personality patterns, we all have them, and then we all have subcortical areas, and so we all have an angle that we come in at, which is why we are a rainbow. And so lovers are only truly lovers if they have intimacy, and therefore a honest sense of connection with themselves. And now I have peace within me, which is why I have no fear. Of course, I don't want destruction, but this is the part of where, if you listen to the episode on the love, peace, and joy of divine feminine, we all want to hope that our air, our water, and food is taken care of. So we do what we can with our 2 hands, 2 feet, which is why if I am going to say I do to you and you to me, and you're not actually a healthy human being, mentally, emotionally, physically, what do you want? Why are you in my space? Go get an honest sense of connection with yourself first, because fear of rejection, fear of losing yourself, fear of this, fear of that. I got a Cusco in a room. I'm just full of people who don't know how to handle themselves, and luckily for me, it's okay. But the point is, as soon as I have the emotionally immature person, I'm having a good time, because I don't have immaturity. My 3-year-old, she only comes up with 2 human beings, because that's exactly when she was 3. 0, 1, attached, panicky. 3 to 7, shame, submissive. And I'm not shame and I'm not submissive. And that's why I'm just saying, I apologize. It's my mother and my twin, by the way. My younger sister, she's my younger sister. So you will know what you bring to the table if you have an intimate, honest sense of relationship and connection with you, no false self. Then the beauty of intimate lovers, the real ones, doesn't mean I physically touch you. No, that's not. Yeah, try explaining asexual and gray asexual to people who think that all of us polyamory people are having to be polygamists. Then try explaining to them polyfidelity vessels. I did that recently, and it's humorous to see as people continue to ask questions, but it's nice to see that together we all are able to expand on it, and then I'm able to let it go when they're misrepresenting who I am, because I'm that person who notices when somebody excuse me, you confuse in science spirituality, okay? So I'm not imprisoned by words, which is why I'm not going to use my strength or my hermit. I'm not going to get and I'm not going to I'm not going to go cry myself a river or get pissed in my pants to correct anything. I don't need to, because I know who Maria is, and then I also know who these conversations, again, that's the part of why the polyamory community, if you don't know anything about it, there's those of us who are solo poly, and then we get to move into polyfidelity vessels, and it's really fun. There's also those of us who don't use these as labels because they're not fixed in stone. As I try explaining, it's just words that make it a little bit easier for me to chit chat. And what I love about the younger generation is that they're a lot more open-minded and actual intimate people. That's because they have healthy self-worth, and they're learning from the best of the best of the best of the best to not be little good boys and girls, because they all know what, shame on you, you're perpetuating trauma. Yeah, we're not going to follow you around. And so the healthy self-worth men, women, and theys do know why compassion is in the lead. And we also know who the pseudo-intellectuals are, who twist their words to however they will be playing. No, the 7 of 14. They got a crowd. Moana, Moana, Moana. Maui, Maui. They got egos to stroke. They got pats on the back. And that's why I laugh at them, because none of them are actual self agents, whether spiritual, mystic, mindful, it don't matter. As long as you're wanting to correct another, you're chiming in a way that will allow me to know you don't know how to have fun. And that means you don't have a 3-year-old in the room. You got a 16-year-old in the room who's decided they know it all, and I played the know it all, and I got taught how not to. So that's the part I got already taught. So I'm in the future. I'm from the future, FYI. But my point is healthy self-worth, the self-agents. Those of us who are anchored in our ventral energy, and we have integration of brain. It's called secure, attached, non-traumatized, mystics, spiritual, mindful, living, loving people. And so I have intimacy, an honest sense of connection with myself, and I don't fake it. And then when I have things that I want to contemplate, I contemplate it. And then I do consider the other in the room. Okay, but that's the part. Emotionally mature people are not martyrs or blamers or superiors. They don't push and tug, and they just chit chat. And then there's this thing though of heart to heart. When you're open, we support each other with love, joy, and peace. So there's a way of caring beyond the solo self. That's not only true spirituality, a life of meaning and connection beyond the solo self, but that's the death do part, sickness and in health, for better, for worse. I will care about how you feel when you wake up in the morning. I will care of how your health is in the morning. I will care about what you're thinking in a way that is not invasive, in a way that says, I care that you have inner love, peace, and joy, because that strength with that hermit, your ventral energy gives you eustress. And you can do the same thing that you were doing yesterday, but not with distress. And there's enough proof for that. Your intelligence and your well-being is your self-agency. And you can do it, Cusco, because all Cuscos can. And the ones who have a hard time, the smart experts that I learned from, they can all help them. And the mysticism, it's not a wand. When you hear about me using guru, prophet, shaman all together, it's not to take away from any of them. It's because the energetic imprint, one is one. It's a sound, if anyone has ever remembered or ever heard of it. And not right now, I want to let you all go. But there's too many different words that one could use. Long story short, an empowered feminine doesn't need to understand it with her words. And the empowered masculine figures it out, and at a certain point they also don't need to hear their words. But they will typically hear words first, and then they'll notice the feelings. As they get familiar with the feelings, they will notice the feelings. As the words come in, they will be able to become players of their own destiny and notice those stories that were not theirs to begin with, which is why I always say I feel very lucky to be an empowered divine feminine with my own empowered divine masculine, because I have seen how it is a very slow process for all masculines to consistently move out of their own way because of not choosing to acknowledge we're all afraid, 11-year-olds. The fighting is not the real you, because I'm a mammal and so are you, and I didn't do anything to tell you that I am gonna judge you. I don't judge you. So as my functional alcoholic friend, the one I've talked to you about, yeah, as he didn't see me the first times, when he finally looked over and saw me, I'm not an alcoholic. I know what they say about me. I said, I'm not looking at you. One, I was looking, I'm sorry. Two, I didn't use the word. I don't consider you, I see you here. I'm not judging you. I'm not doing any of that. These are words that didn't even cross my mind. By the third time, the human being and I become friends. And this person, do we all want that he gets better? Yes, but guess what we all know? Anyone? So people who don't understand that the free will is of the agent. Okay, so you have honest sense of connection within yourself, not a false self, and that makes you a lover. You have intimacy with yourself, you have intimacy with another, you don't hold back, you don't have shame, you don't have defectiveness, you don't struggle it, and so you won't run away, you won't hide it, you're going to be able to feel consistently expanded with the heart of you, and therefore also the relational field of the one, and the one too. That's it. It's not boring to have secure, attached, non-traumatized people. Non-traumatized is because we process, again, with our own self, our inner world, and then we share it, and we're excited, and we're happy. And even when you're scared because you know it's an important conversation, it's not scary because you have self-love. So this is the part of what self-confidence, acceptance is. And you know, it's funny to me, I was a kid again with the self-agency, like with the teenage boyfriend. So when I and him broke up and people said let him get away, I'm like, no, I didn't. I didn't, because we simply grew apart. Well, he decided. I was fine with our relationship because I don't hold Maria back. I don't hold any of who I am. I'll tell you I am, and then I will know that it's your life, not mine, and I'm not going to be your mama, your papa, you're you. I'm going to help you fly. I'll tell you what I think, and then once I've told you a certain amount of times, I'm done. And that's the part of where some people feel that they can nag at each other. I am a common sense human being. As teenagers told me, we tell you what to do, you don't do it. You're right. And so here's why when Neil deGrasse says we have a brain that doesn't work well, or the education, it's not that. We all have ego. So the difference is, how common sense are you? And can you walk like an Egyptian? So every step of the way we want to support each other. But the part about being stubborn, we are all stubborn 3-year-olds. But there's stubborn and then there's stubborn, okay? And then that's just one of the angles. But for lovers, we don't bring in stubborn. That's why we're fierce lovers. We don't need territorial. The ones who do are the ones who don't know how to bring themselves, their self-agency, to the forefront. And that's something different. So in the meantime, we heal trauma seriously. It's one person at a time. It's with us, 5D mystics, spiritual, mindful, living, loving people. We're all self-agents, and you enjoy to hear about empowering journeys and then joining one-to-one mentorship potentially, and masterclass and workshops, retreats, and when our tears are out, other fun stuff. Watch and wait. Walk like an Egyptian. So thanks for stopping by. Have a good one.